Previously on Higurashi and Nekrai Kai, Ch.7.
大人の人が増えるのは私たちには心強いね。
そうだな。4日続けて同じ顔ぶれだから相当インパクトがあるぞ。
どのくらい集まるかはお量の号令次第なのです。
そうだね。来てくれる人数でバッチャの本気度が測れるだろうね。
K!
圭一、いよいよ正念場なのです。
だな。兵力十分、気合もたっぷりだ。相談所の連中、さっきからカーテンの隙間から何度もこっちを伺ってるぜ。きっとビビってやがる頃だぞ。
Oh, I'm sure.
自治の係長からは折れといた方がいいってご助言いただきませんでしたっけ？
懲戒って言うからもっと近所のおっさんなんかが来ると思ってたのに、なんで議員が来るわ、弁護士が来るわ、ヤクザは来るわ、人が200人も集まってくるわけですか。
それがそのHinamizawaですから。
さとこ、理香です。理香、圭一たちが全部終わらせてくれましたです。もうHinamizawaはさとこを敵にはしないのです。だから僕とさとこが一緒にお買い物に行ってもさとこだけが無視されたりしない。僕だけがおまけをもらえたりはしないのです。さとこに冷たくする人はもういないのです。
もしもし、電話を代わりました。相談所の原山です。もう一度確認いたしますが、哲平さんとのその後の生活は問題ありませんね。
Satoko looked at Teppei again as she listened to the question. Looked straight into the face of terror. All she ever did was hide behind Satoshi's back. Show me that courage. It wasn't only Rika. Her Nini was watching her too.
はい、もう一度お願いします。
私を助けて。
The moment the words left her mouth, Tebe clocked his niece upside her head with every bit of strength he had in him. You are fucked!
リカ、見ててくださいまして。私、やるときはちゃんとやるんですのよ。ええ。あなたの勇気、あなたは勝った。運命に打ち勝った。
Both Rika-chan and Satoko cried and hugged each other. It wasn't an easy victory. However, the price we paid was more than worth it. Tomorrow is the Watanagashi Festival, the biggest festival in the village.
約束通りに来たよ。盛大に盛り上がってるね。
どちら様でございますのかしら。リカの知り合いですの？赤坂は肝心な時にいなくて使えないのです。
Ouch. And so it continues. Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Higurashi and Nekrai Kai Chapter 7. So, Watanagashi Festival is upon us. So I imagine that by the time I hit continue, we're probably going to wake up the following morning, and 2 hours after everyone's had breakfast, and assuming that everything is all hunky-dory around the village, we're going to learn that Tomataki's dead, Takano's dead, and, well, I guess at that point we'll have to determine whether or not the cycle of fear and paranoia among the main characters is going to repeat itself again. I'm obviously hoping it's not, because, once again, just at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we can't exactly have history repeat on us this time, otherwise we're well and truly fucked. But who knows? Maybe something different will occur. Although I highly doubt it. One way to find out. So let's do it.
あ、そんなことを言ってたね。
Well, I guess I'm already wrong about something. It's not the following day yet, and you two are still breathing.
でもどうしてだい？どうして僕と高野さんが殺されなきゃならないんだい？
あらあら、私たちが5年目のたたりに名前を連ねられるなんて名誉な話よ。
As I'd expected, they didn't really take me telling them that they'd be killed on the night of the festival seriously. They did keep their promise to tighten up my security after I showed them the ritual storehouse. However, they haven't given one thought to their own safety. Oh well. Like I said, I didn't expect them to believe me. If they were willing to take me seriously, I could have easily changed their fate a long time ago.
もう一度言いますです。富武は喉をかきむしって、高野はどこか遠くの山奥で焼かれて死にますです。
喉をかきむしるって、それはレベル5の末期症状のことかい？大丈夫だよ。僕はちゃんと注射を受けてる。
Shots?
そんなことはありえないよ。
Interesting. You don't... So I guess there are preventative shots for this thing? Experimental, I'm sure, but... I didn't think that the research on this thing progressed that far. But you don't think you have the disease, and yet, each and every time in the past few previous chapters, you end up dying in a way that is very reminiscent of the disease in question. And as we've already confirmed, with you being able to hear Hanyu, about a week or so before the festival even took place, you are close to death, apparently. I'm sure you've had this thing in you for a while now, but you're just not aware of it. But if you have preventative shots in you, it just begs the question then. If those shots actually are in any way effective against this thing, how do your symptoms still skyrocket to the point where you end up killing yourself anyway? Unless somebody injects you with something that causes the bug to go into overdrive. Maybe something that releases some brain chemicals in you or something, forcibly. I don't know what kind of drug would do would be able to do such a thing, but I'm just speculating here. I'm just trying to think. What exactly could cause your symptoms to manifest to the extent that they do, leading up to your death, despite you apparently having taken some shots?
私だってあんまりね。どこか遠くの山奥で焼死なんて失礼な。それがあなたの夢の中に出てきたというの？
In a manner of speaking.
今夜だけでもどうか気をつけてほしいのです。騙されたと思ってどうか僕の言うことを聞いてはくれませんですか？
私たちの身に迫る何かというのも夢のお告げなのかしら。大丈夫よ。あなたの身辺は山犬がちゃんと警護しているわ。今日だって8人があなたの近辺を警護しているのよ。
ありがとうです。僕の警護は十分助かっています。ですから高野たちも同じく用心してほしいのです。
心配してくれてありがとう。大丈夫だよ。こう見えても体は鍛えてるんだ。降りかかる火の粉くらいはちゃんと払えるよ。
Not against the whole group of people. If your autopsy report is anything to go by. I just thought of something. For a while I've been wondering, especially as I've been playing more and more of the later chapters, what group of people in Hinamizawa would hate you enough to try to attack you all at once on the night of the Wanagashi. Again, the more I've been playing, the more confused about this one little detail I've felt. I don't know what I'm even trying to say here. My grammar is failing me. Anyway, I can't really think of anybody in Hinamizawa who has a particular grudge against you at this point, let alone multiple people. And yet, your autopsy report shows you having been attacked by multiple assailants after the festival was concluded, which then in turn leads up to your own death following you clawing out your own throat. What if I'm right about Takano having a role in your death, the mountain dogs that she apparently controls, supervises, or whatever, also had a role in your death? That would answer the question of who in Hinamizawa who'd want to attack you in a group, because it wouldn't have been anyone from Hinamizawa. It would have been some whole other group altogether. That would explain the lack of suspects, multiple suspects, leading up to your death, because they're not from Hinamizawa. They were from some whole other group we never really knew much of anything, next to nothing about until recently. This would also then explain and / confirm that Takano definitely is definitely working with multiple people here on this thing, which I wouldn't be surprised at all, considering the scale of the GHD. I don't really think that something like that here could be accomplished by just one person, especially with the following cover-up by the military. Anyway, enough speculating from me. Tomitaki flexed his biceps and smiled. He was probably trying to make me feel better, but all he really did was make me feel sadder. This is the sad part about being me. I know the future, but I can't tell them. It's as if that was a rule of the world. People tend to not believe what I tell them.
でも死ぬのです。富武と高野が死ねば、次は僕が殺されるのです。二人が死んだら誰が僕を守ってくれるのですか？
どうも相当悪い夢を見たみたいね。大丈夫よ。もし万が一私たちが死ぬようなことがあっても、山犬があなたを警護するわ。
You sure that one of them won't just snatch me up when nobody's looking?
山犬は本当に僕を守ってくれるのでしょうか？守ってくれた試しはないのです。
そんなことないわ。あなたがふっかけた喧嘩にも現れたでしょ。あなたの近辺を常に警戒してくれているわ。もちろん平時にはそこまでの警戒はしていないけれど、先日のあなたの要望以来、あなたへの警戒態勢は非常に高度な状態を維持しているわ。入江所長の警護よりも厳重なくらいよ。
富武と高野が死んだ後もその警戒態勢は維持されますですか？
無論よ。あなたの身ほど大事なものはないんだから。
僕たちは今夜殺されてしまうともう決まっているのかい？参ったな。
富武に生き残る意志がないのなら、死んだ後の私の身にしか興味がないです。
My words must have left a mark on his heart. He looked much more serious after I said that to him.
やれやれ。分かったよ。せいぜい今夜気をつけるよ。沖宮へ戻るときは僕にも警護をつけることにする。
二人の時に襲われるのだと思います。だから今夜二人きりになってはダメなのです。
あらあら、焼いてるのかしら？ おませさんね。
Like I thought, I can't change their fate. When we saved Satoko, everyone shared the same sense of urgency. That's why we all got together and saved her before it was too late. However, these two have no sense of urgency at all. How can I make them understand? I sighed and gave up.
富武、高野、さようなら。今日までありがとうでした。
ちょっと待ちなよ。リカちゃん。
I had nothing else to say to them now. Instead, it might be worth talking to someone else. If I could get someone else to protect them, I might be able to change something. I can't give up yet. Fate is as thin as a piece of paper. It's just like the lid on a jar of jam. It's not going to open unless you believe it will. I have to believe that I can change my fate. If I don't, it's not going to change.
富武さんと高野さんがですか？それは本当ですか？
I've told Irie about this so many times in the past. Irie tends to listen to me more seriously than Tomitake and Takano do. However, that doesn't mean that he can actually do something about it.
お社様の巫女の僕が嫌な予感がするから。では、理由になりませんですか？
わかりました。そうおっしゃるなら、お社様のご神託かもしれませんね。今夜そんな事件があれば、5年目のたたりということになってしまいます。お二人には注意するよう、私からも伝えましょう。
All Irie would end up doing would be warning the two of them, which was exactly the same thing as what I did. In other words, it wouldn't matter in the least. Irie is just a researcher, and he has no ability to deal with unexpected trouble. That's why Takano works for him, after all.
くれぐれもよろしくお願いしますです。ペコリ。
Who else would treat me seriously? Who would be able to prevent Tomitake and Takano's death? Maybe Oryu? Is she still around the festival? Try asking her. That's right. There's one man who's been fighting the curse of Ushiro-sama with all his might. Keiichi?
あれ？フルデさん？
Well, yeah, I guess I should have thought of him too.
探してたんですよ。赤坂さんがぜひお別れの挨拶をしたいと言って探してたんですが。
つくづく赤坂とは肝心な時に縁がないのです。
先日の温泉の件をずいぶん恨まれているようですね。赤坂さんも何も恩返しができなかったことを悔やまれていましたよ。長い休みが取れたら改めてひなみ沢に行きたいと言っていました。それを奥さんに勘違いされちゃったみたいで。可愛いけどあの奥さん家に帰ると怖い人なんだろうな。
God damn it, wifey. You're making life difficult for all of us.
大石、実は大切な話があるのですが、誰も信じてくれませんのです。
ん？いかがなさいましたか？
I've spoken to him several times in the past, too. He usually takes me pretty seriously. However, after they die, he starts suspecting me. That's why I stopped talking to him.
それをどこで聞いたんですか？どの辺で？
I told him I heard someone talking about murdering them in the crowd. That way, he might not be suspicious of me after the murder really happens. Well, it's a half-truth, but there's truth in it all the same, so...
確かに富武さんはよそ者だし、高野さんと合わせれば2人。1人が死んで1人が消えるか。確かに5年目のたたりとしてはあってもおかしくなさそうですね。 デマの可能性もありますが、わかりました。ダメでもともとお二人をマークさせましょ
襲うならひなみ沢と沖宮の間の道だとも言っていたように思いますです。
Tomataki's body will be found on the road leading out of the village. From what I remember, he's discovered where the concrete road turns to gravel.
う。わかりました。車を一台張り付かせましょう。そのくらいの余裕はありますので。
I would prefer it if you had like about half a dozen at least. He agreed to get involved, and he wasn't suspicious of me either. I'm sure it seems odd to people that Ushi actually believed this phony-sounding story of mine. The thing about Ushi is that he strongly believes that there's no smoke when there's no fire. I've learned from experience that he tends to believe my information. However, that personality of his has caused me so much trouble in previous worlds. Of course, there's no question why he's so eager to believe me either. This is his last chance to expose the curse of Urashiro-sama before his retirement. Even if it might be fake, he still wanted to believe it. This was convenient for me, since I couldn't show proof.
クマちゃん、聞こえますか聞こえますか？沖宮への帰り道の途中にパトを一台張り付かせてください。いえいえ、単なる警戒です。良くないことがそこら辺で起こるかもしれないという噂が入りまして。2人程度でいいでしょう。お願いいたします。
ありがとうです。誰も僕のことを信じてくれないので困っていたところなのです。
You absolutely sure you can't get more than just 2 officers? Because Tomataki was attacked by multiple assailants. And if I'm right that they could be the mountain dogs, who, as far as I'm aware, are kind of like a paramilitary group of sorts or something like that, I don't think just two officers is really going to stand much of a chance against them. And even then, if they aren't the mountain dogs, but someone else entirely, from village or wherever else, when you got a whole flock of people coming at you all at once here, I mean, unless you got good reflexes and know where to aim and when to do it here, and again are just quick, you're screwed once they all get on top of you.
それを信じるのが警察です。何事もなければむしろ無事を喜ぶべきじゃないですか。出動を空振りこれを喜べ。私の先輩の言葉です。それにせっかくのタレコミ情報を見過ごして事件を防げなかったらこれほど悔しいことはありませんからね。
I see. That's his way of thinking about things. That was why he believed me without question. I hope he won't consider me a suspect after they find their bodies tomorrow. I shouldn't worry about that now. I can still do more. Who else should I talk to? Or you? Should I talk to my friends? Well, I don't see the harm in it, at least. I can't give up. I should at least try.
まさかそんな物騒なことを言ってる人がいるのかい？よりにもよってこの日に不謹慎だな。
Well, it would match up with the previous years regarding when the previous victims were killed and, well, you know, vanished.
あれか？今日起こるかもしれないって噂のお社様のたたりってやつか？
うん。連続4年起こってるからね。やっぱり今夜も起こるかもしれないと思ってる人も少なくないみたいだね。
怒ると思うのは勝手でございますけど、富武さんと高野さんを名指しするなんて失礼な話ですわね。富武さんと高野さんにも念のため伝えた方がいいんじゃないかな。
Already did. They're all like, that's nice, dear.
もう伝えましたですが、信じてもらえなかったです。
そりゃそうだろうな。でも 万が一何かあった後じゃ遅いしな。大石さんに話した方がいいんじゃないか。
もちろんもう話しましたです。
へえ、リカちゃまはなかなか手際がいいじゃないですか。でも確かに用心に越したことはないです。今夜だけは。Hinamizawa村連続開始事件、通称お社様のたたり。はっきり言って何年も続かれちゃ困るんだよね。面白がって模倣するバカも出てくるし、何より村のイメージダウンにしかならない。
つまり今夜何も起こらなければそれで連続はついえるわけだろ。なら今夜起こらないように何かすればいいわけだ。
Yeah, well, for all you know, it could essentially be leap year or something for the curse. Then again, I don't exactly remember off the top of my head right now how leap year works, so I could be completely wrong on everything. So if I am, just ignore me.
悪いことが起こらないように村中で見回りでもしますの？
見回りなんかしたらかえって不用心な気がします。そもそも手の打ちようなんてあるんですか？
Traps!
一応綿流しの準備会の方では連続開始事件を模倣しようとする変質者が紛れ込む可能性もあるので、見かけない顔には警戒しようってことになってる。
Hinamizawaはよその人の顔はわかるからね。見慣れない人がいたらすぐわかる。だからきっと大丈夫だと思うけどな。でもそれでもきっと富武と高野は殺されるのです。リカちゃん、そうだね。私たちにもできることをしてみようよ。
そうだな。一晩中を護衛はできないだろうけど、せめて祭りが終わるまでの間近くにいようぜ。人が近くにいれば悪い連中もおいそれと手出しはできねえだろ。
Not unless they're sufficiently well prepared and trained. Like, say, the mountain dogs. And even then, even if they aren't, that might not, if they have enough numbers on them here, just sheer numbers might overpower all of you, if you're not careful. I couldn't tell if they really believed me or not, but they listened to me at least. We decided to keep our eyes on Tomitaki and Takano and protect them for the rest of the night. I guess I've done everything I can now. Or you... Brittle Bones. You know, the one that Keiichi nearly strangled. Go to her. Though it's hard to believe that this is enough to prevent their deaths.
あとは明日目が覚めた時何も起こっていないかどうかね。リカは富武たちの死を防げると思っていますですか？
Doubtful, but you never know.
無理かもしれない。やはりあの二人が死ぬのは私の命運が尽き。でもさっき高野も言った。山犬が私への警護を厳重にしてくれているから。仮にあの二人が殺されても私は無防備とはならないかもしれない。
Okay, you done? Good. And they've done a fantastic job of that so far, haven't they?
そうしてる間に東京から応援も来るだろうしね。
And those hypothetical squads also did a fantastic job up till this point.
いつものように富武たちが殺されたとしてもその後の状況はこれまでの世界とは少し違う。
That's all running with the assumption that Takano will even keep her word. And that in turn is also running with the assumption that Takano is a trustworthy figure in the first place. And I'm pretty sure you're all very fully aware at this point that I do not think of her as anything like that at all. She's anything but trustworthy as far as I'm concerned.
それでもダメなら潔く死ぬしかないわね。とにかく今回は最後の最後まで諦めない。あがける限りあがく。 どうせ無駄だから残りの時間をワインで過ごすなんて後ろ向きなことは絶対にしない。リカの好きなようにするといいのです。羽生は相変わらずどうせダメだと思ってる？僕はいいもダメもないです。あるがままが運命ですから。
I guess somebody needs to hammer into your head how powerless fate is when faced with the power of friendship and sheer determination among groups of people. Because clearly you weren't paying attention to what happened leading up to Satoko's liberation from what's-his-face.
期待するから心が痛むか。
If I'm an actress trying to get up on the stage, Hanyu is a real bystander. We have very different opinions when it comes to this.
リカ、何があってもどうか気を落とさないで。なんだか今回もどうせダメだって遠回しに言われてるみたいね。最近あんたと話してるとイラつくことが多いわ。
I understand. Hanyu keeps telling me not to get my hopes up because she cares about me. Because I hope to defeat fate, I get hurt when that hope is betrayed. And the more I get hurt, the closer I get to losing my mind and disappearing. For Hanyu, that means losing her only friend. Losing me is probably the most unbearable thought for Hanyu, since she has to live alone, unable to communicate with anyone else. I now believe that fate can be changed. Even when I didn't have that faith, I still believed that eventually I'd find a way to get out of this maze. Perhaps Hanyu knows something I don't. I might be just a goldfish inside of a fishbowl. There might be no way for me to escape my fate. We're stuck alone inside of a fishbowl, yet every day I knock on the glass, believing that I can break it someday. Hanyu keeps telling me that I'm wasting my time. If I get hurt and die, she would have to survive all by herself inside the fishbowl. With that, I think I finally understand our difference of opinions. Hanyu has lived for a much longer time than I have. Because of that, she understands the laws of this infinitely spanning world better than I do. No matter how much I refute Hanyu, I can never refute the truth. Even so, I still have to believe in my own faith. I believe in a spear that'll pierce the wall of fate. My faith will make that spear sharper than ever. We found Tomitaki in the crowd and struck up a conversation for him to keep him around as long as we could. However, as soon as the festival ended, they tried to leave. Bound and gag him! If they left now, I'd never see them again. Mion tried insisting they stay at her house for the night, but Tomitaki refused. Everyone tried various ways to stop them from being alone because the murderer might be around. However, we eventually started to believe that they wanted to be alone for adult reasons. I'm sure that's what Tomitaki's thinking, at least. And I wound up suggesting that we shouldn't interrupt the two lovebirds.
大丈夫だよリカちゃん。富武のおじさまだって男だよ。いざとなれば高野さんのために獅子奮迅の活躍をしてくれるよ。
And I'm sure the feeling is very mutual.
そうよね。私に危機があったら二郎さんが体を張って守ってくださるのよね。
I'll get back to you on that.
そのつもりだよ。
じゃあ私たちはもう行こう。もうだいぶ遅いよ。
ありがとうね。気を利かせてくれて。
くれぐれも誤解しないでくれよ。僕は診療所に忘れ物をしてるんだ。それで診療所の鍵は高野さんが持ってるから、高野さんと一緒に診療所に行くんだよ。
You alright, man? You seem a bit nervous.
富武のおじさま、診療所で愛の語らいとは奥が深いです。
Well, it does help that Takano is a nurse.
違うよシオン。きっとナース服着てもらって撮影会なんだよ。
Crash, bang, wham.
ナース服でどんな写真撮るんだろう。
がっちり理解できてるなら照れ隠しに殴るのはやめろ。それからミオンとシオン、お前ら今までそんな目で富武さん見てたのか。
But they're funny.
じゃあね、みんな。本当に忘れ物を取りに戻るだけだからね。ついてきちゃダメだよ。
No promises.
富武、本当に用心するのですよ。理科の心配しすぎではございませんの？
And I think you're underreacting.
はあ、
Everyone laughed when Satoko yawned. It seems like a good time to call it a day. It doesn't feel like I was able to change their fate. I just hope that they pay attention and that they're prepared for whatever faces them. I still might have a chance. All I can do now is pray.
それじゃあ富武さん、またぜひその時は写真を見せてくださいね。
It was nice learning about you, finally, but this might be the last time we all see each other. Farewell, farewell, Mr. Photographer.
その罰ゲームのシャツ、ぜひ着てきてくださいね。
よっ、美女との一夜、羨ましいね。ヒューヒュー。
またね、みんな。次に会うのは秋頃かな。
私たちが今夜殺されなければね。それじゃみんな、おやすみなさい。
おやすみなさい。
That was the best I could do on the night of Watanagashi. I'll go get the headstones. And then I'll have to think about what to put on the headstone for Tomitaki. Please tell me what... Okay, I'm not going to bother speed reading this time. Schrodinger's cat, huh? Tomitaki gathered up his paperwork and slipped it inside his bag. Oh, we're actually going to see it
嫌
happen?
にしつこかったね。そんなに僕らに死んでほしいのかな。
Somebody certainly wants you dead.
夢の話とはいえ迷惑な話よね。
入江所長にリカちゃんの検査を念入りに行った方がいいと言っておいてください。夢見の悪さは何かの予兆かもしれない。リカちゃんに何かあったら大変なことになるからね。
Understatement. Takano touched Tomitaki's hand gently. As he turned bright red, Takano moved in closer and spoke. The way she acts is just too sexy, Tomitaki thought.
ねえ次郎さん、とても真面目な話があるの。
Goodbye?
聞いてくださる？
なんだい？高野さんまで真面目な話があるってのかい？まさか高野さんまで僕が喉をかきむしって死ぬ夢を見たなんていうのはなしだよ。
そのまさかだとしたら。
え？
Takano stared at him with a mischievous look, as if seducing him, and started whispering into his ear.
驚いているのよ。あの子には本当に神通力があるのかもしれないってね。
それはどういうことだい？
I think it means she saw right through you, right? Takano smiled gently and pulled back her hair. Even to see her do that made Tomotaki's heart race.
私、あなたのことが好きよ。
それは光栄だな。
Takano's fingers curled around Tomotaki's chin, stroking, tickling, and caressing it. Her movements were very captivating and seductive. You're keeping an eye on what both her hands are doing right now, right?
いろいろな男と付き合ってきたけれど、野心も野生味も私には合わなかった。あなたのような固くて真面目な人が一番相性がいいって分かったの。あなたなら私のすべてを受け止めてくれる。
And what exactly do you stand for?
私のことを本当に理解してくれるってだからあなたにならミオのすべてを捧げられる。私のすべてをあなたに抱き受けてもらいたいの。この気持ちがわかるかしら？
Not quite.
高野さん、急にどうしたんだい？
Her voice didn't really sound that affectionate. Tomotaki knew from experience that he couldn't grasp what was on her mind when she wore a cold smile like that.
いよいよなの。もうじきなの。
What's almost here? It seemed as though she couldn't wait for something to happen. There was a chilling allure to her strange smile that made one question if something exciting was really about to happen.
何がもうじきなんだい？
Tomotaki asked, trying hard to resist the temptation.
私の夢が叶う日がやってくるの。
Your dream?
君の夢？
そう、私の夢。話したことがあったわよね。それとも私なんかが話したことは記憶に残らないのかしら？
いや、覚えてるよ。君の夢。
Tomotaki's response was vague. Either he didn't remember, or he hadn't understood it very well.
いよいよお社様のたたりが現実のものとなる日がやってくる。その日こそが私の子供の頃からの夢が叶う日。
Ever since you were a child.
二郎さん、聞いて。私はもうあなたと一緒にはいられないの。
え？それはどういう意味だい？
あなたと私は違う世界に住む存在なの。ここhinamizawaは人の世と鬼の世の接点だから、日の当たる世界のあなたと日のでももうそれが終わるの。陽光の降り注ぐ日中に訪れた束の間の月食が日の当たる世界の人間と日の当たらない世界の鬼を引き合わせた。私が何を言っているかわかるかしら？
Run!
高野さん、まだビールが抜けないのかい？酔ってるね。
She's drunk
お
on
別れ
something
の
all
夜が
right.
来たの。日の当たる世界を教えてくれてありがとう。あなたの温かさは日だまりの温かさだったわ。騙し合ったり疑い合ったりしない本当に温かい関係だった。だから あなたと別れるのがとても惜しい。
She pulled herself away from Tomotaki and slowly stepped back, as if signaling the time had come for them to part.
君が何を言っているのかわからない。何の話なんだい、高野さん。
だからあなたに選んでほしい。私のそばにいることを選んで、日の当たる世界のすべてを捨てる勇気を見せてほしい。あなたが私の耳元でささやいてくれたことがどれも本当だったなら、二郎さんに戸惑いはないはず。
By that time, Tomotaki understood that Takano was asking him to make an important decision.
まさか君は。
そのまさかなの、二郎さん。
Tomotaki got up from his seat and looked Takano straight in the eyes. There was a faint glimmer of hostility within those eyes.
私より仕事が大事なの、やっぱり。
信じられない。君のことを信じていたのに。
Those words were ones of rejection. Takano's lips twisted into a cruel smile.
お社様は人と鬼を融和したそうだけど、そのお社様でも私とあなたを融和することはできなさそうね。
Takano slowly opened the door. 6 men in overalls were standing there at the ready. The mountain dogs, I assume? Tomotaki was frozen in shock. The 6 men walked up to Tomotaki with no expressions on their faces. It was immediately obvious they were going to do something to harm him.
これは何の真似だ。
Hinamizawa将校軍は導火線に火がついた爆弾と同じ。それが爆発する前に東京はあなたに爆弾を解体してしまうことを命じた。でもね、東京にはこの爆弾が派手に爆発して欲しがっている人もいるの。
So there are people who want to see this thing go off. I was right.
バカな。そんなことをして誰が何の得をするんだ。
得のないことをする人なんてこの世にはいないわ。損得があるからベクトルが生まれる。だから私を前にそれを問うことは無意味ね。
信じられない。そんなバカなことを考えている連中がいるのかい。平見沢症候群はとても危険な病気であることは君も知っているはずだ。
そうよ。爆発すればとても大変なことになる。だからこそ東京も失態を隠しきれない。
君はその連中に買収されたというのか。
What faction? Do go on. I'm quite curious.
元からそういう目的で送り込まれているの。申し訳ないわね。出会った時から私とあなたは住む世界が違ったの。
それで僕をどうするつもりだ。
あなたの協力があれば私の仕事はとても楽になるわ。もちろんそれはあなたにとっては裏切り行為にあたる。
僕に寝返れというつもりか。
二郎さん、私にささやいてくれた愛が本当ならもちろん報酬は望みのまま。あなたが私を望むならば一生あなたに捧げてあげる。あなたが望むとき、あなたの望むところであなたの望むように。私はあなただけのもの。あなたのためだけに独り占めをしていいのよ。私もあなたにならあなただけの女になってあげてもいい。ねえ、私の心にあ あなた自身を住まわせてみたいとは思わない？
Really compelling bargain you're making. Asking this man to basically allow you to forsake and commit genocide on an entire village with sex. The fuck is wrong with you? Her words were a kind of assault, directly hammering at the emotions men had difficulty resisting. They were like an evil spell to control his heart. Upon hearing them, Tomitaki felt an unknown sensation rush up his spine as his feet froze in place, entranced. However, he forced himself to resist the temptation. He sealed the cracks in his wall of reason to stop Takano from forcibly entering his heart.
断る。
She had known from the start that Tomitaki was going to refuse her. Even so, Takano let out a triumphant laugh. It's funny. She thought Tomitaki would refuse right away. However, it took him a while to refuse because of how effective she was at seducing him. The time it took for him to refuse was her one victory for Takano. For Tomitaki, it was a time of humiliation. Takano continued to laugh. She sounded rather like an evil witch.
そう言うと思ったわ。それでこそ私の大好きな二郎さんよ。
Takano raised up her right hand and gave a signal to the mountain dogs.
おこのきくん、君も寝返ったのか。
失礼しますね、富武新殿。
二郎さんも鈍いわね。山犬は初めから私の部下よ。この診療所は最初から私たちが掌握している。知らないのはあなたと入江所長だけよ。
Was that why he committed suicide? He found out the truth behind this clinic and the role he inadvertently played helping you assholes out? Tomitaki moved into action, sensing a danger that was about to befall him. His fist thrust out as quick as lightning, knocking one man down before he could even blink. However, the other mountain dogs certainly weren't going to just stay there and watch. They all attacked him as one. He tried to strike back with an elbow, but he simply couldn't overcome the difference in numbers. Tomitaki tried his best, but soon enough, the mountain dogs had wrestled him to the ground.
くそー！離せ！離せんか！こいつ、ジタバタすんな！
They pinned him down so he couldn't move an inch.
さすがね、二郎さん。6人がかりでも手こずらせるなんて素敵よ。
Takano walked over and smiled while looking down at Tomitaki.
ねえ、二郎さん。どうせ断るんでしょうけれど、私の自己満足のためにもう一度聞かせてね。やっぱり意見を変えて、私の味方になってはくれないのかしら。
無駄だ。君の仲間にはならない。
その一言が欲しかったの。私の未練を断ち切るためにね。
Takano was holding a small case in her hands. She opened it and showed Tomitaki what was inside.
その注射は。
いやね。想像がついてるくせに。
バカな。すべて破棄したはず。
二郎さん、あなたはこう思っているでしょう。たとえ破棄した例の注射だとしても、 自分は予防薬を投与済みだから注射されても免疫があるはず。
So, what is it? A stronger variant of the bug?
そうでしょ。だから怯えてないのよね。あなたが今回Hinamizawaに来た時に投与された予防薬はね、違うのよ。
Well, that certainly explains that mystery away.
あなたは今自覚してないだろうけども、すでにレベル3クラスで感染してる立派なHinamizawa症候群の潜在患者なの。二郎さん、注射するとき目を背ける癖があるでしょ。ダメよ。自分に何の注射がされてるか毎回ちゃんと確認した方がいいわよ。
くそー、離せや。
Tomitaki struggled to get away, but he simply couldn't move. Upon seeing his sorry state, Takano laughed with glee.
H173 は二郎さんもよくご存知のはずよね。投与することで感染し、かつ興奮状態を誘発することで疑似的にレベル5を発症させる。
Jesus.
どれだけ劇的な効果があったかは二郎さんもご覧になってたんじゃないかしら。被験者は盛んに頸部液下のかゆみを訴えていたわね。過去の症例の文献から見ると、どうもレベル5発症時にリンパ節に異常なかゆみを訴えるケースがあるみたい。抗原抗体反応の一種かもしれないわね。だから二郎さん、あなた運が良ければリカちゃんが予言した通りの死に方ができるわよ。自傷で自ら死ぬか、それとも脳を憎悪で焼かれて廃人になるか、あなたはどちらになるのかしらねえ、二郎さん。
やめろ、やめろー。
これじゃあお注射は難しいわね。眠らせてあげて。
One of the men covered Tomitaki's mouth with a towel soaked in some kind of chemical. He tried to fight it off with all his might, but his strength eventually left him, and he became as quiet as a beached whale. Takano stroked his face to make sure he couldn't resist. Then she brought the needle toward his throat. She pushed it right into his skin. As she squeezed down on the syringe's plunger, the skin surrounding the tip of the needle swelled up, and eventually the contents were absorbed into his body.
さよなら、二郎さん。次に目が覚めるときは楽しい悪夢の世界にいるのかしらね。
The mountain dogs finally got off of him. He couldn't even twitch.
誰か彼を私の車のトランクに運んで。
Two of the men lifted up Tomitaki and carried him outside.
そうそう。彼の愛用の自転車も一緒だときっと喜ぶでしょうね。地獄へ行っても好きなだけサイクリングができる。
The mountain dogs all quietly laughed at the joke.
ではこれより終末作戦を開始します。
Well, as if I didn't need any further confirmation of what this whole thing's end goal was all along, with a name like that. They stopped laughing as soon as she began to speak.
おこのぎは以後の連絡を待て。入江所長から目を離すな。あとフルで理科にも注意してね。どんな第六感か知らないけど、少なくとも彼の死に方だけは当てたわ、あの子。もっと研究したかったけど残念ね。
了解ですわ。こちらはお任せください。道中はお気をつけて。
気をつけるほどもない旅よ。ところで入江所長は？
祭りの後の打ち上げ中でしょう。まだ神社の敷地内にいるとのことですね。
あの研究しかできない坊やがどう取り乱すか見れないのが残念ね。
The mountain dog started laughing again, too. Takano checked the time on her watch. Oh, Irie, I hope you're hiding away in some corner seeing all this play out here and are getting ready to run and let somebody from the authorities know what's going on here. Because holy fucking shit. Somebody needs to do something. Takano checked the time on her watch. It was nearly 10 p.m. Most people must have left for the festival for home. Those people still there were probably enjoying the after party while getting drunk inside the shrine. It was a good time for her to leave without being seen by anyone.
では、私も出発するわ。死んでくるわね。
After saying that, she left the clinic alone. She left through the back door. She left amid the moonlight, the singing of insects, and the sound of a river. It's a typical night in Hinamizawa. While enjoying all these sensations, Takano got inside her car. So you've been dreaming of basically causing the curse of Urishiro-sama, as you call it, to happen throughout Hinamizawa ever since you were a small child? If I'm understanding you right? What kind of fucked up childhood did you have here to make you hate a backwater village like this so much? Or are you just some kind of sadistic psychopath? Either way, you're a child, so you were a child. You've been dreaming this since you were a child. So, can I take that to mean then that you've had some kind of relationship with Hinamizawa itself ever since you were a small child? Tomitaki was sleeping inside the trunk. His bicycle, on the other hand, was loaded into her back seat. How ironic. Your bicycle has a better seat than you. Holy shit. What if Tomitaki was in the trunk when Keiichi and Takano ended up running into each other in Chapter 3 that whole time? Damn. Your bicycle has a better seat than you. I'll let you out of there soon. I should leave him by the road that leads to Okinomiya. That'll be a good spot. Takano found a good place to drop him off, but she gave up on it, as there was a police cruiser parked in the area. Ha ha! She figured that they were probably patrolling to make sure the 5th year's curse didn't happen. Good job, officers. No one would ever suspect that there's a curse packed in my trunk right now. Takano drove onto lightless streets with rougher roads. Eventually the mountain road ended, and she was surrounded by darkness. There were rice fields nearby. She could tell by the sound of the croaking frogs. Takano parked her car by the pitch-black roadside. She had to stop here, otherwise she'd be too close to a residential area. Indeed, she was nearly in Okinomiya. She would have dumped him earlier, but the police cruiser had foiled that plan. Takano pulled Tomitaki out of the trunk and left him by the road. She also left him his bicycle. Tomitaki let out a small groan. It probably wouldn't be long until he woke up.
さよなら、次郎さん。あなたのギクシャクした恋の語りも楽しかったわ。もっと聞かせてもらいたかったから。もうじきあなたは目を覚ますわ。その頃にはあなたはレベル5の末期を迎えてる。あなたは錯乱の挙句きっ と哀れな死に方をするでしょうね。宇治脇病が語るように、やはりあなたも喉をかきむしって死ぬのかしら。それを観察できないのがとても残念。そしてあなたの異常な死と私の失踪はこの地に5年目のたたりとして刻まれるでしょう。そうしてお社様のたたりはますます強固なものとなって残る。その礎となれるなんて、次郎さん、これはとても名誉なことなのよ。あなたはこれから命ある身を捨てて永遠の存在の一部となれるのだから。
That was her last farewell to Tomitaki. Takano got back inside her car and started driving. She could see the place she left Tomitaki in her rearview mirror, but it was already shrouded in darkness. Takano drove through the main street of Okinomiya and made a few turns, heading for the darker mountains in the distance. It had been a while since she left Hinamizawa. It was almost midnight. She might have already made it to the neighboring prefecture. It was difficult to tell because she couldn't really see anything in the darkness. Takano stopped her car in the middle of all that. After turning off both the engine and the headlights, there really was nothing but darkness surrounding her. It was as if time itself had stopped. Takano wasn't sure how long she waited, but eventually she saw the headlights of a car blinking twice. She blinked her own headlights back at it. Soon, she saw several people walking toward her. Two men wearing blue overalls knocked on the window of Takano's car. Obligingly, she opened it. They looked over her face and the paperwork they had in their hands.
ご苦労様。高野よ。
After confirming her identification, they called someone over the radio.
本部どうぞ。ヒナを確保。尾行ないか。
尾行はなし。後方400メートルクリア。
尾行はありません。お疲れ様でした。どうぞ指揮者へ。書類をお預かりします。
書類カバンはトランクの中よ。これが鍵。あとコーヒーがもらいたいわね。入れてくださる？
The command vehicle was a trailer with a bunch of high-tech communication equipment inside. The light electric equipment shone beautifully in the dark.
さあ、コーヒーです。どうぞ。
Another man in blue overalls offered her a paper cup.
ありがとう。私の死体の方は大丈夫？
You did prepare a corpse! I fucking knew it!
現地にて移送終了との連絡が入っております。
現地？隣の県の山中でドラム缶に放り込まれて焼け死になのかしら？
死因までは確認させます。
Operation Doomsday. That was the name of their mission. The goal of the operation's first stage was Takano's escape from Hinamizawa and the extraction of 18 specific classified documents. That goal had been completed. Assassinating the liaison from Tokyo, Tomitake, was also one of the goals. That one had also been completed in the way Takano had planned. He was not killed that way just because Takano had wanted to see it. It was intentionally planned that way, so that the office in Tokyo would be suspicious of the Irie Institute. They were trying to create the story that the Institute was upset with the recent budget cuts and the cancellation of their study. Tomitake's mysterious death would be a suitable way to persuade people. Tomotaki was not the only one who was expected to die. Takano was expected to do so as well. However, Takano didn't really need to die herself. They had acquired a substitute body for her, so she didn't have to actually die. Takano had no idea how they got the body. According to what she heard, a team in Gifu took care of everything. Once Tomotaki and Takano were dead, Tokyo would definitely grow suspicious of the Irie Institute. The main purpose of this mission was to make the Institute look reckless.
申し訳ありません、笹。現地の工作班で問題が発生したようです。
問題？どうしたのかしら？
偽装死体の選別にミスがあったそうです。死後24時間経過していたとか。
That explains the time of death inconsistency.
あら、するとどういうことになるのかしら？つまりサンサは昨日すでに亡くなられていたことになってしまいます。
Takano's body was supposed to be selected from the corpses of people who had died the same day. The plan was to then burn the body and make identification of the corpse more difficult. They found a suitable body for the plan. However, they just found out that it had been dead for over a day. That would create a hole in their plans.
現地の方で現在収集に当たっていますので。
いいわ。その死体を私ということにしなさい。
So it was your carelessness here that helped create that little hole for me and Ushi to spot.
は、しかしそれでは。
Hinamizawaを滅びに導くお社様の使いが実は前日に死んでいて、祭りの当日面白い。それは実に面白いわね。
Takano laughed with satisfaction for a while. The other people in the vehicle couldn't understand why Takano was laughing so much. Takano continued to laugh as if it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard.
構わない。現地にはそれを私にしろと伝えなさい。そのくらいのズレがあった方が面白いわ。
よろしいのですか。万が一ということも。
万が一なんてないわ。だって高野美代は現に今日、たとえ検視の結果死後24時間以上経っていると出たって、おめでたい連中は検視結果の方が間違ってると思ってくれるわよ。
Takano almost seemed to be enjoying the risk.
了解。現場へその旨連絡します。
それより私の死体はドラム缶の中で焼かれていたの？
はい。高速道路近くの山中でドラム缶の中で焼けていたのを発見されたそうです。
Takano seemed surprised to hear that from him. Then she started laughing strangely again. Nobody could figure out why she was laughing like that.
なるほど。お社様の生まれ変わりは伊達じゃないということなのね。あの子にはやはり人知の及ばない何かがあるということを認めなければならない。Hinamizawaの山犬に R の監視体制を厳重にするように連絡を。
了解。
失礼します。沖宮警察が富武の遺体を発見したとの無線を傍受しました。
発見したわね。いよいよ始まるわよ。
おいさん、先生が到着してます。
ああ、どうもどうも。どうですか、入江の先生。
Ushi entered the area enclosed by a blue tarp. In there, people from forensics were taking pictures of the dead body from various angles. Irie was squatting down next to the dead body of Jiro Tomitaki. When he stood up, he was white as a sheet.
信じられません。
そりゃ私だって信じられませんよ。初見で見た限り、仏は喉をかきむしっています。それも自分の手でです。こいつはまっとうな死に方じゃない。十中八九、何らかのヤバめな薬物でしょう。
彼は何らかの薬物の常習者だったということでしょうか。
さあね。そいつを調べるのはどうやら我々の仕事になりそうです。
大石さん、この角材は
多分仏が振り回したんじゃないかと思います。で、途中で捨てて喉をかくのが楽しくなっちゃったんじゃないかと。
角材を何のために振り回したんでしょう。
自衛のためと考えるのが一番自然だと思います。仏の体に外傷がいくつかあるのに気づいてます？
ええ、打撲傷を思わせる跡がいくつか散見できます。
ってことは、一番考えられるストーリーは、仏が祭り終了後沖宮へ帰る途中、ここでそれで取り押さえられて怪しげな注射とかそういうのをされて、その結果錯乱させられて死に至らしめられた。
喉をかきむしるように誘導できる薬物なんて聞いたことがありません。
But you are aware of a certain syndrome that can.
私もそっちは専門じゃありませんが、何らかの中毒による異常行動に自傷行為ってあるらしいじゃないですか。まあその辺はうちの鑑識のじいさまが調べてくれるでしょ
う。おいさん、失礼します。ここから数百メートルのところに富武二郎のものと思われる自転車が見つかりました。
おお、そうですか。ありがとうございます。何か手がかりとかは？
いえ、初見では特には。今鑑識が言ってます。
じゃあつまりその自転車があった場所が襲撃場所と考えていいんでしょうね。
Unfortunately, that's where you're wrong.
それで戦ったり逃げたりしてここまで来た。
Ushi frowned, crossing his arms in front of his chest. Iria was looking at the miserable corpse of Tomitaki, and he kept saying the same thing.
ありえない。絶対にありえない。
Irie knew right away that Tomitaki's death was caused by the terminal symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome. He hadn't swung the 2x4 at a real person, but probably saw some kind of hallucination due to the L5 symptoms. Violent reactions to hallucinations is one of the clearest characteristics of the terminal stage. However, Tomitaki supposedly took a vaccine before he came to the village. There was no way he could reach L5 symptoms in such a short period of time. Irie didn't want to believe it. But it was obvious that someone intentionally injected him with the pathogen. The pathogen must have been strong enough to give him L5 symptoms immediately. The only drug that can do that is Ch.7, a chemical weapon that induces an acute onset of symptoms. It makes people hallucinate, which inevitably leads to a horrible death. It's the absolute worst kind of demon. However, they have destroyed all of it due to its dangerous nature. All that was left were helpful chemicals, such as vaccines and treatment drugs. Tomitaki was their liaison from Tokyo. Whoever killed him must have had full knowledge about him and this drug. How would that person know he was their liaison? It was then that Irie thought of Takano. Takano is also a watchdog from Tokyo. She's something like a superintendent. It was quite possible that something bad happened to her, too.
そうだ。高野さんは 高野さんはどうなったんです？
え？ああ、お宅の看護師さんの。
多分富武さんと一緒だったと思うんです。高野さんは無事なんですか？
先生、彼女の電話番号は分かります？
もちろんです。
熊ちゃん、入江の先生に電話番号を聞いて署から在宅確認を取らせてください。
了解っす。先生、番号。
はい、よろしいですか？
Kumagai got the phone number, repeated to make sure he got it right, and dashed out of the blue tent.
先生、高野さんと仏は確か親しい仲でしたよね。
ええ。
何かトラブルがあったとか、そういうのは聞いたことがあります？
まさか、聞いたことないです。仲のいい二人でした。
Tomitake and Takano weren't just in a close relationship. They were co-workers sent from Tokyo. They had access to information that even Irie didn't. There's no way there was trouble between them.
何事もなけりゃいいんですがね。
Unfortunately for us all, yes, she is.
下手すりゃ仏か、それとも星か。なるほど。看護師なら怪しげな薬物を取り扱えてもおかしくはないですよね。
そんな薬品はうちの診療所にはありませんし、あったとしても厳重に保管されています。高野さんに持ち出せるわけがない。
それでも一般人よりは容易でしょ。
ですからそもそもそんな薬物は聞いたことがないし、当診療所にも存在しません。
Irie made clumsy excuses while I tried to piece together what was going on. However, Irie had no means of knowing the state of affairs in Tokyo, and you couldn't reach any further conclusions. So it was easy to laugh at him, as though he's a frog trapped in a well.
大石さん、留守のようです。署の待機組の方で直接訪問すると言ってます。
先生、すみませんが高野さんの住所を教えてください。じゃあそれプラス県警に今夜出た身元不明の女性死体がないか確認を取ってください。あるいは県外の可能性もあるな。課長に近県にも同様に身元不明の女性死体が出てないか確認を取るよう伝えてください。
了解っす。
沖宮警察が現地の県警本部への接触を開始。さんさ、よろしいのですね。
ええ、構わないわ。そのままで行きなさい。どうせすぐに週末よ。誰かが一人くらい死亡時刻を疑ったって、誰かが耳を貸す前に全てが滅ぶ。
I've been speculating that all this stuff that we just learned was indeed going on for a good while now. I came up with the basis for why I thought that there was someone trying to destroy this village, what all the pieces were to make it all happen, and what the end goal likely was. And by all appearances, it looks like I've basically gotten the vast majority of all this shit right. I still don't understand why Takano has been dreaming about causing such a thing to happen to Hinamizawa ever since she was a child, so I'm lacking a solid motive on her part at least, but everything else though? I have mixed feelings. Like, there is a part of me that is just cheering that I was right about just about everything here. But now that I've basically confirmed this, I'm also feeling extreme fear and terror for everyone because holy fuck, I was right. There are some people some people in their government and their military that wants to kill them, all of them, and use the bug in their system, Hinamizawa syndrome, as a means to get them all to kill each other. They're all essentially sacrificial guinea pigs for whoever is trying to make this happen at Tokyo. And then once that happens, the government cover-up occurs. It's all coming together now. Nearly every single little thing. Again, on one hand, I'm like, holy shit, I was right. But on the other hand, I'm like, holy fuck, I was right. And now I'm scared for everybody, you know? I know I'm kind of repeating myself here, but I'm just sitting here amazed that virtually every single prediction that I've made so far regarding what's going on here has essentially been proven correct. Almost down to a freaking T. So now that we know what the hell's going on here, and the sheer scope of this whole thing, that there's a paramilitary group involved, that there's some officials from Tokyo involved, this thing is being sanctioned by somebody within the government and the military, or both. How the hell are they gonna fight this? Anyway, I'm gonna continue. The day after Watanagashi, Ushi showed up at her school. It isn't uncommon for Ushi to show up here today. Interestingly, he always asks to see the most key person in that world. He asks for Keiichi in the world where he gets sick. He asks for Rain in the world where she gets sick. In this world, he asked for me.
富武が死にましたか？
ええ、ちょっと尋常じゃない死に方でしてね。薬物か何かで錯乱状態だったんじゃないかと思います。自分で自分の喉をかき破るというショッキングな亡くなり方でした。
やはり抗えないのか。
There's nothing I can do now. I knew this was going to happen. I'm sure Takano is dead too.
高野は
彼女についても残念なご連絡があります。隣の県の山中で焼死体で発見されました。死体の状況から多分絞殺された後に焼かれたんじゃないかと思っているのですが、どちらにせよ気の毒な話です。
大石の考えは分かってますです。僕が何か知っていると思っているんでしょう。
いやいや、まさかまさか。疑うとしたらこの一点だけです。あの人混みの中で小耳に挟めるようなところでこんな物騒な話をする人がいるわけがない。
僕が何かの陰謀の片棒を担いでると思っていますですか？
と思い込みたいところですが、それも引っ込めました。本当にその気ならあなたは私にあんな入れ知恵をすることはなかったんですからね。少なくとも今回の事件を起こそうと考えた何者かとは相対する位置にいると思ってます。
それが本当ならとても嬉しいのです。
Fuushi threw a 10 yen coin into the offering box and shook the bell in prayer.
どうか今年こそ
そのために僕に協力しろと。
今のはお社様にお願いしたんですよ。
Fuushi is well aware that people call me the reincarnation of Oishiro-sama. That must have been his attempt at a joke.
僕もこんなたたりはもう金輪際にしてほしいと思っていますです。
おや、ならフルデさんと私の求めるところは一致するようですね。
僕は昨日富武の死体が見つかりそうなところを予言しましたです。そこにパトカーはいなかったのですか？
いいえ、ちゃんと巫女様の予言に従って配置しました。ほら、細道路と砂利道の境目になっているあたりがあるじゃないですか。通称村境とか呼ばれているあたりです。あそこら辺はとても暗いですからね。何かヤバいことの起こりそうな匂いが一番プンプンするあたりです。
では富武の死体はどこで？
配置場所よりももっとずっと沖宮寄りの水田地帯の路肩です。
That's not where his body is usually found. If he was fated to hallucinate and die, he would die in exactly the same spot, whether the cruiser was there or not. Just because the cruiser was placed there, Tomotake's body was found in a totally different spot. In other words, the existence of the police cruiser disrupted that fate.
でですね、ここからがちょいと面白い話になります。パトにはですね、私通る車もチェックさせたんです。そしたら高野の車が祭りの終わった後、沖宮方向へ通過したんですよ。
Takano lives in Okinomiya. It wouldn't be strange for her to head back home after the festival.
ただ乗ってたのは一人だったんです。富武は乗っていなかった。
富武はHinamizawaにはいつも自転車で来ますから。
なら自転車をトランクに積んで車に乗せてもらうのが普通じゃありませんか。ですが富武は一緒じゃなかった。にもかかわらず富武の死体はHinamizawaからパトを越えて沖宮の方の水田地帯で見つかる。
You are getting pretty damn close to making a very important connection here. Come on. Let that train of thought of yours run wherever it will.
つまり
あの真っ暗な中、森の中を突き進んでパトを迂回したなんてできる芸当ではありません。だとしたらパトに気づかれずに街道を抜けるしか考えられない。ウルデさん、高野と仏の関係について教えていただけませんか。
恋人同士、それしか知らないです。
高野がね、恋人との最後の夜の仰せを一人で帰るというのが腑に落ちないんです。富武はその時トランクの中に詰められていて、あの真っ暗な森の中に捨てようとした。
My God, man, you are right on the damn money. Come on.
だがお告げのパトカーがたまたまそこにいちゃったもんで、仕方なくそこを通り抜け、もっと先で富武を捨てた。
Both Tomitake and Takano were sent here from Tokyo. I have no idea what their real identities are. I can't say that Takano had no reason to kill Tomitake. However, I've never considered that possibility before in my life. Takano killing Tomitake? But why? I can't think of any reason. Nothing comes to mind. And it's hard to imagine Takano was cornered to the point she had to kill him. Come on, Rika, you're so damn close to figuring this out. In fact, it was more plausible to think she was enraged when the lovesick Tomitake acted cold toward her, and she strangled his neck.
私はあのカップル、どことなく不釣り合いだなってずっと思ってました。こう言っちゃ富武君に失礼ですが、高野さんでは荷が勝ちすぎているんじゃないかなってずっと思ってました。
I shouldn't laugh at this, but he's not wrong, is he?
高野が富武を何かに利用しようとして近づいていたとか、そういう話を村の中で聞いたことはありませんかね。
ないです。でも話は聞いてみようと思いますです。何か分かったら 大石にも知らせますです。
ありがとうございます。村の内部に詳しい方、それも御三家の当主でお社様の生まれ変わりの協力がいただければ鬼に金棒ですよ。
But even the reincarnation of our Shiro-sama couldn't solve this mystery for over 100 years.
でもその高野も殺されたのですよ。どういうことなのですか？
私はもしあなたから垂れ込み、おっと、お告げを聞いていなかったら、多分きっと富武と高野は共に犠牲者ですが、こうなってくるとどうも違う。どうやらこいつはお社様のたたりの5年目ってことにしようとした巧妙な事件のように見えてきました。
Come on! Connect the dots!
つまり高野が犯人。
Basically, this is what Ushi is trying to say. They're not both victims. The culprit is also pretending to be a victim. This is really hard for me to believe. You know that famous Sherlock saying, if you eliminate the impossible, then whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. I can't think of any reason why Takano would do something like this. Ushi only feels the way he does because he doesn't know her as well as I do. For another thing, how can you explain that Takano's body was found? Didn't the police in Gifu Prefecture identify the body?
焼死体の識別には歯型照合が最も有効だと言われています。ただうちの鑑識のじじいが言うにはそれでも 100% じゃないという。まあそれよりおかしいのが現場の県警鑑識の死亡時刻なんです。当初死亡時刻が合わなかったらしいんです。
死亡時刻が合わない。
ねえ、祭りの前夜にはもう殺されてたっていう鑑識が出ちゃったらしいんです。内容物とかそういうのから調べるらしいですね。ですがこの時点で岐阜さんには高野の話をしちゃってたんです。だからお隣の県警さん、綿流しの日に彼氏とデートしてたはずの死体が死後24時間では話が合わないって言ってその鑑定結果を握りつぶしちゃったらしい。死亡時刻の鑑定なんかより死体の歯型鑑定の方がよっぽど精度が高いですからね。まあ現場にはたまにある話です。ですが高野が犯人かもしれないって目で見てみるとこいつは高野の死体じゃない可能性が出てきます。
My God, you're so right, Ushi.
死体をごまかすことなんて可能なのですか？
Yes!
焼死体の鑑定は基本的に歯型以外は絶望的です。例えばこれは推理小説的な荒技ですが沖宮のデンタルクリニックに残されていた高野美代の歯型のカルテ。
It's like he's mind melded with me or something. He gets my theories.
これが巧妙な手口で捏造されていたら誤認もあり得る。まあそんなのは抜きにして単純にお隣の県警さんが高野に間違いないと決めつけてしまった可能性の方が高いですが警察組織内では往々にして初動時の鑑定ミスが後々まで尾を引くことが少なくない。伝説的な冤罪事件のほとんどはこれに起因します。私はどうやらその可能性が拭えない気がする。
つまり高野は生きてる。
高野美代は先日以来車ごと行方不明です。現地の死体が高野でないならこれはなんだか面白そうな話になってきます。
Irie had already heard about the deaths of Tomitaki and Takano. It seems like both the clinic and the office in Tokyo had flown to a panic over it. It's funny how they make such a big fuss about their own people when they don't care about what happens to other people's lives if it would get in the way of their research. Takano's subordinate, Okanogi, was in the room. Okanogi is the leader of the mountain dogs. I came here to make sure he's still willing to protect me. Based on past experience, they tend to lose interest in protecting me after Takano dies.
おこのぎ、高野が死んでしまいましたですが、僕は大丈夫なのですか？
大丈夫ですよ、リカさん。我々が今後も厳重に警護してますんで。ですから、警察に頼ろうとしなくても問題ないです。
I guess this is part of that tight security? They might have been listening to my conversation with Higurashi.
大石に聞きました。高野が実は死んでいないというのは本当ですか？
Be careful with how you proceed here. Like, I know you have no reason to suspect him right now, but holy shit.
まさか。現地の県警の正式な発表ですんで。大石という刑事は今年で定年。お社様のたたりを何とか解決したい一心で、何でも話をおかしくしようとする癖がありよります。あいつの言うことに耳を貸さん方がいいでしょう。
Well, he's not wrong. Yes, he is wrong! This year is Ushi's last chance. Because he's so desperate, he's developed a bad habit of listening to every rumor he hears.
では、おこのぎはこの事件をどう見ていますですか？
現在、上が調査してますんで、いい加減なことは言えません。殺された二人の関係を知る以上、内部犯行の可能性が極めて高いっちゅんは間違いないんじゃないかと。
I glanced over at Irie as I listened to Okanogi speak. It seemed that whoever he was talking to over the phone was accusing him of killing them. Irie was frantically trying to prove his innocence. Soon enough, he hung up on the phone. Irie looked upset that he was under suspicion after working so hard for the organization.
ああ、リカさん、すみませんね。だいぶお待たせして。
入江も大変なことになったようなのです。
お聞きになった通りです。富武さんたちの死は何かの陰謀による可能性が非常に高いです。そして東京はその黒幕が私であると思っているようです。まったくどうしてそういう方向になるのか大いに疑問です。
I rarely ever saw Irie get so emotional. He must be feeling as though all his efforts is being repaid with injustice. However, it's a fact that Irie was trying to fight against the budget cuts and downsizing of his research team. Tokyo is thinking that could be his motive for killing them. In any case, everyone in the organization is suspicious.
リカさんの心配は分かってます。高野さんたちを殺した何者かが次にあなたを狙わないとは限らないですからね。東京もそこは特に気にしていました。
山犬にもあなたの警護体制を最高にするよう命令が来ています。ご安心してくださいね。
それが聞ければ僕は少し安心なのです。
This was the first time the mountain dogs had ever tightened up my security. They usually become so busy keeping tabs on Irie after Tomitaki and Takano's deaths that they end up ignoring me. Even though they're dead, I'm still in a pretty favorable situation.
高野たちを殺した犯人に心当たりはないのですか？
東京の皆さんも調べられています。状況を見る限り内部事情に精通した人間の仕業です。どうやら真っ先に疑われたのは私のようです。
富武にああいう死に方をさせられるのは入江だけなのです。
そんなことはありません。おそらく東京の方も H173 の話をしているのでしょうが、あれは危険な目的での研究が中止された時全て破棄されたはずです。あんなことは不可能だ。
ですが所長、 こういうことが起こってしまった以上、東京、それに富武氏には予防薬があらかじめ与えられていたはず。にもかかわらず発症したんです。
天文学的低確率で起こった偶然だとしか言えません。とにかく絶対そんなことはありえないんです。
Yuri is usually a very calm person, but once the people in Tokyo start suspecting him, he often loses his mind.
高野が犯人ということはありませんですか？高野なら内部の人間です。
高野さんがまさか。
But as he spoke, Irie also started to realize that everything could be explained if Takano was the culprit. But I don't know how to persuade him that it's the truth. More than anything, people want to hear a motive. Not who did something, but why. Knowing that probably isn't as important as it sounds. After all, you never know the motive unless the suspect talks. Guessing about the motive is just a waste of time. In other words, it's stupid to assume that Takano isn't the culprit just because I don't know what her motive is.
リカさん、確証もないことを言っちゃいけませんね。あれだけ親切にしてくれたんじゃないんですか？それを疑っちゃ悪いですね。
A snake oil salesperson will rub your shoulders if they can get you if that will help them sell their snake oil to you. Upon hearing me be ungrateful toward his boss, Okinogi flashed me an unpleasant smile. It's true that Takano was very nice to me. It might be disrespectful of me to suspect her. However, I still can't trust her completely yet. Perhaps I've developed the same bad habit as Ushi. I say it's a good habit. Am I believing every crazy theory I hear just because I'm desperate to escape from my fate?
とにかく私たちの身近で何か良くないことが起こりつつあるのは間違いありません。用心するに越したことはないでしょ
う。ご心配なく。所長に対する警護体制も最高にするよう命令を受けておりますね。
Irie smiled bitterly. For him, their protection wouldn't be too different from stalking.
リカさんも警察には不用意なことを喋らないようにお願いします。分かってると思いますが、場合によっては機密保持のため、厄介なことになるかもしれませんので。
He was implying that he'd have to kill anyone I talked to. This isn't the first time they'd warned me about this. It's just... what if Takano really is the culprit? If she is, then Okinogi is almost certainly involved too. Then it makes sense that he wouldn't want me to suspect Takano. But that would be horrifying. If Takano was my enemy, then the mountain dogs were too. This whole clinic is a lion's den. Here he is just a researcher, so he probably wouldn't know what's really going on. The more I thought about it, the more confused I got. Why would Takano do something like this? I thought I just convinced myself that the motive shouldn't even matter, but I can't stop thinking about it. Is Takano really behind it all? Am I going as crazy as Ushi just because of how badly I want to solve this mystery? Perhaps the mountain dogs are more like wolves looking after a flock of sheep. I lived for over 100 years. I never once found out who killed me, and I stayed close to the Erie Institute so that they'd protect me. What if that was my big mistake? Well, I'm sure that Irie has no bad intentions. In many lives, I got to see just how genuine his feelings are. I can trust him. However, he's not really reliable. Okinogi glanced over at me. He smiled and told me not to worry. but I noticed an evil glint in his eyes. It's possible that I have Hinamizawa syndrome, and that was just a hallucination. I don't understand anything. I don't even know who my enemies are anymore. There's no point in thinking about this any longer. I have to only trust who I know I can trust for sure. There are only a few of those people, though. Irie, Wushi, and my friends. If Okinogi is on Takano's side, he'll be watching me very closely. If I start accusing Takano of anything, who knows what they'd do to me. When this world first began, I thought I had no time left. But that wasn't true. The number of things that happened in just 2 weeks was immense. I probably only have a few more days left until the day of my death. What can I do? How can I change this? Am I supposed to just take Hanyu's advice and resign this time?
それで綿流しの晩にはもう失踪していたらしいんだよ。
お社様のたたりかな。
さすがに5年も連続すると薄気味悪いよな。
Hinamizawa is a small village. Rumors spread fast here. Besides, she's Mion Sonozaki. She would have found out about this yesterday even if the police were trying to hide it. My friends were all talking about the mysterious deaths of Tomitake and the disappearance of Takano. People in this village are very superstitious. No matter what happens, they conclude that everything is the curse of Oishiro-sama. The past incidents don't matter to me either way. All I'm interested in is the current one. The culprit of this case will probably kill me too. 2 days have passed since Watanagashi. Today is Tuesday, June 21st, 1983. At the earliest, I'll get killed on the night of the 22nd. That is, tomorrow night. The day of my death is always different. I always end up getting killed, but the day when it happens varies. I guess the culprit has their own reasons for that. There's only one thing I'm sure about. Based on my experiences, I'll live for sure until tomorrow night. After then, I'll have to live with the fear of getting murdered at any moment. Still, there's no real reason to be afraid. When I wake up, I'll be in a brand new world again. I can never remember how I'm killed. That's why I'm not afraid of the killing itself. I'm just frustrated that my life is about repeating the same things over and over like a broken record. However, at present, I'm frustrated. My classmates just expect that their peaceful days will continue forever. But I couldn't feel that way. I feel frustrated and full of sorrow, as I really don't want to die.
明日の夜ですが、リカは悔いがありませんですか？
バカ。ないわけないでしょ。
Hanyu was trying to warn me that I might get killed tomorrow night. As though she already knew it was going to happen for sure.
リカはとてもよく頑張りました。そして今年の綿流しは僕が生きてきた中でも一番の楽しいお祭りでした。それは 理科もだったのではないですか？
It was fun. It really was fun. Satoko has band-aids all over her face, but everyone was there together, and we kicked up a storm. I want this world to continue forever. I can't accept that. This world is going to end tomorrow at the earliest, and within 1 or 2 weeks at the latest.
また次の世界でもきっと楽しくできますのですよ。
この世界はもう終わりなの。こんなにも楽しい世界なのに、もう終わりなの。
All my friends are alive and happy. Keiichi doesn't feel alone, and Reina's family is happy too. Mion and Shion are getting along, as well as Shion and Satoko. The issue of Satoko's uncle is resolved, and she's no longer treated coldly by the other villagers. This is the best world I've ever experienced. But this world is going to end.
理科、僕たちは特別な存在なのに、理科は自分のことを普通の人間として考えすぎなのです。楽しいパーティーがいつまでも続けばいいのにと子供の誰もが願う。でもいつかパーティーはお開きになりますのです。だから子供たちは楽しい瞬間をどうか永遠に続いてほしいと願うのです。でもだからといって終わったパーティーを嘆くことはない。眠ればまた明日の朝になる。そしてまたいろいろと楽しいことが起こるのです。パーティーが終われば消えてしまうシンデレラなんかいない。
私の生への固執をそんな風に例えられるなんて知らない。
今のリカはパーティーから帰りたくないと泣いて椅子にしがみつく子供と同じなのです。
She is a child.
どうして泣いたり悲しんだりする必要が？またパーティーはやってきます。リカは死を越すことを未だに忌み嫌っているけれど、僕たちにとっては一眠りのまたぎだというのに。
羽生は昭和58年の6月より先に何があるのか。
見たくないと言えば嘘になりますです。でもそれに固執して裏切られ傷ついてゆくリカの方が心配なのです。リカには分かってない。気の遠くなるほどの長い時間を誰とも会話することができず、楽しい祭りもじっと眺めているだけ。子供たちの遊ぶ輪を横で眺めていることしかできない悲しさなんてわからない。誰にも私の姿が見えない。誰にも私の声が届かないし、誰も私に話しかけてはくれない。そんな辛さや悲しさが理科に想像つきますのですか？
So what? Rika is supposed to just suffer this eternal time loop until she can't go back in time anymore? Just so you won't be lonely?
その中でやっと出会えたリカなのです。僕はリカがいなかったら生きていけない。でもリカのように死ねもしないのです。僕は時の果てまで一人ぼっちで生きていかなくてはならない。新しいあなたが現れるまでずっと膝を抱いて一人で過ごしていかなくてはならない。僕はそんなのは嫌なのです。絶対に嫌なのです。
羽生。
だからリカ、あの悲しい約束を取り消してほしいのです。この世界でも運命に打ち勝てなかったらもう全てを諦めるというあの約束を取り消してほしいのです。
羽生、ごめん。もう少しだけその返事を待たせて。
I want to do what I can until the end. When that happens, I can decide what to do. If I think there's still some hope, I can go on living. But if I feel desperate enough, I can just give up. It might not ultimately be a bad thing to repeat June of 1983 over and over. Perhaps I might be blessed with another fortunate life someday. Hanyu nodded with a little satisfaction after hearing that, sensing that my feelings were starting to lean the way she wanted them.
どうしたよ、レナ。リカちゃんをお持ち帰りする算段でもしてるのか？
ねえ、ケイイチくん。リカちゃんに元気がないとは思わないかな。
どうだろうな。奉納演舞の疲れが抜けないんじゃないのか？
Rika-chan was sitting all by herself, wearing a sad expression. I said she might still be tired from the festival, but that wasn't really how it looked.
さとこちゃんが解放されて踊り上がってもいいくらいなのに、なんだか昨日からリカちゃんの様子がおかしいように思うの。悩み事でもあるんじゃないかな。
てっぺの件は完全に決着したはずだろ。リカちゃんが悩むような問題は何もないはずだぜ。
Well, how about this, genius? Why don't you go ask her what's troubling her and get her to spill the beans? We thought Satoko and Rika-chan might not be able to live together if they found a new guardian for Satoko. But that problem is almost solved. Either the Sonozaki family or the Kimiyoshi family will become her guardian. Mayor Kimiyoshi is already Rika's guardian. If the Sonozaki family gets custody, Satoko will officially become Shion's little sister. Anyway, I had no idea why Rika-chan was acting so upset.
こういう時は声をかけてみるのが一番じゃねえのか？
Good idea. Do that.
それがかえってデリカシーがない時もあるし。でも、ケイイチくんなら大丈夫だと思うかな。
それはつまり俺にデリカシーがないっていう意味だな。
Reina laughed and stuck her tongue out at me. I walked up to Rika-chan and struck up a conversation. Perhaps something is still troubling Satoko, and we just don't know about it. If that's the case, we need to help her.
元気なさそうだな。何か悩んでるのか？
あ、ケイイチ。
Rika-chan had been daydreaming, and it took her a while to realize that I was talking to her.
僕が悩んでるように見えましたですか？
まあな。どうしたんだよ。何かあったのか？
It took her a while to answer. Such a long silence had to mean yes.
ケイイチ、聞いてもらいたい詩がありますです。誰が作った詩かは聞かないでくださいです。そして聞いたら感想を聞かせてほしいです。
いいぜ。どんなのだよ。
Rika-chan closed her eyes and recited a short poem. It went something like this. Everyone has the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to receive. Everyone has the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to fulfill. I have the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to compromise.
結構難しい詩だな。それはリカちゃんが作ったのか？って聞くのはなしなんだったな。
なしです。ケイイチはこの詩を聞いてどんな感想を持ちましたですか？
Everyone has the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to receive. I understand that. Everyone does have the right to be happy, but that doesn't mean that everyone can receive that happiness. Everyone has the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to fulfill. This one is a little harder to understand, but exercising that right probably refers to the process of finding happiness. Everyone has the right to work hard for their happiness. but it's not that easy for that work to bear fruit. I have the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to compromise. I guess she's trying to talk about compromising your happiness. There's no limit to human desires. You can never stop wanting more. That's why people need to make compromises on their happiness. At least that's how I understand it. If she was trying to say that we should be satisfied with what we have, it sounds like a positive statement. But there's also a negative tone to the way it's presented.
この詩は多分詩を作った人の心情を表しているものだと思う。
僕もそうだと思いますです。それで感想はいかがですか？
She wouldn't admit it, but I'm sure Rika-chan is the one who made that poem, and is reflecting on how she's feeling. I'm not that smart, but even I can understand that.
悲しい歌だなって思った。
悲しいです。
最初の2つはわかる。幸せに過ごす権利は誰にだってあるが、だからといって誰でも簡単に幸せになれるわけじゃないもんな。そういう厳しさを歌ったものだと思う。でも最後の一つは毛色が違う。妥協ってのは諦めるって意味だ。この詩の私は幸せになることを諦めて今を妥協して幸せだと思い込もうとしてるんだ。
幸せだと思い込もうとしている。で、
それも未練いっぱいにな。誰だって努力さえすればきっと幸せになれるのに、自分だけはそれが絶対届かないと分かっている。そんな諦めが漂う悲しい歌だ。
なら圭一、この詩の私はどうすればいいんでしょうか？
くじけるなって
くじけるなですか？
この詩を歌ったやつは自分がどういう風になれれば幸せなのか悩んだ末にしっかり見つけてる。それは決して高望みしたものではないと思う。どうやったら幸せになれるかを延々3段も考察してるやつなんだぜ。真剣だから、ここまで幸せになりたいと一途に思ってるなら絶対に諦めちゃダメだと思うぜ、リカちゃん。俺たちは絶望的な状況をほんの数日でひっくり返したんだぜ。みんなで力を合わせればきっと奇跡が起こせる。リカちゃんだってそれを目の当たりにしたはずだぜ。あるんだろ、悩み。打ち明けてくれよ。
打ち明けたいことはあります。でも打ち明ければみんなはもうhinamizawa沢でのんびりと暮らすことはできなくなるでしょう。私にとっての幸せはみんなと楽しく昭和58年6月以降も過ごすこと。だからこそ6月をくぐり抜けるためだけにみんなを巻き込んでも。
hinamizawa沢にのんびり暮らせなくなる？どうしてだよ。
打ち明けたことを知られたら奴らは必ずみんなを殺す。だから助けを求められない。
殺すって穏便な話じゃないな。まさかリカちゃん誰かに脅迫されてるのか？
The word kill is not something that most people use casually. I was shocked to hear it coming from her mouth. That's why I couldn't help but raise my voice.
誰が敵かもわからない状態です。一つわかるのは誰かが私を必ず殺すということだけです。
ごめん、リカちゃん。話してくれ。一体何があったんだ？
Is Tepe threatening her? No, that isn't possible. The police arrested him, and besides that, the Sonozaki family told him to never come back to the village. There's no way he could contact Rika-chan in order to threaten her. Even if that somehow was the case, Rika-chan could just talk to Mion and everything would be taken care of. But based on her expression, it seems like this is way deeper than that.
ごめんなさいです。これ以上言えばきっと巻き込みますです。圭一たちが巻き込まれれば仮に6月を超えられてもそれだから打ち明けられないのです。それが多分私が望む幸せに対し妥協しないということなのだと思いますです。
リカちゃんがさっきから何を言ってるのかさっぱりだが、リカちゃんのその言い方、先日までの聡子にそっくりだぜ。
聡子に？
ああ、耐えることが美徳だと勘違いして戦う勇気を忘れてる。そういう風に聞こえるな。電話で聡子に戦う勇気を奮い起こせと劇を飛ばしたリカちゃんらしくもないぜ。
My words had clearly hurt Rika-chan's feelings. She bit her lip and went quiet for a moment.
巻き込まれれば圭一たちもきっと殺されますですよ。
殺されるのはごめんだな。でもよ、放っておけばリカちゃんは必ず殺されるんだろ。だったら俺もリカちゃんのいない未来なんてごめんだな。リカちゃんが俺たちを巻き込みたくないって思うように、俺たちもリカちゃんを失いたくないって思ってる。荒事は大歓迎だぜ。それに3人集まれば文殊の知恵って言うだろ。部活メンバーみんなで相談し合えば必ず妙案が出るぜ。
いくら部活メンバーでも無理なものは無理だと思いますです。
Come on, don't think like that.
俺たちを巻き込みたくないから打ち明けられないんだな。ならリカちゃんは俺たちに打ち明けず一人で死のうってことなんだな。
そういうことだと思いますです。
耐えることを美徳だと勘違いするな。戦う勇気を思い出すんだ。心の整理がついたらいつでも何時でもいいから相談してくれ。俺たちは絶対に力になるからな。
ありがとうです。
Rika-chan was wearing a sorrowful smile. I could tell that she appreciated my sympathy. I don't know why, but Rika-chan is troubled by something. It's a matter of life and death for her. She can't even talk to us about it. At the very least, she won't talk to me.
どうだった圭一くん？
リカちゃんが悩み事だって？珍しいね。
聡子、変なことを聞いてすまんが、リカちゃんが命を狙われているような話ってあるのか？
は？何を言ってるんですの圭一さんは。
リカちゃまは村のシンボルじゃないですか。拝む人はいても命を狙う人なんているわけないです。
And that's where you're dead wrong.
なんだいなんだい。
No pun intended.
物騒な話だね。
The more I talked to my friends, the stranger it seemed that someone would try to kill Rika-chan. Everyone is even more confused than I felt.
リカちゃんは悩みを打ち明けてくれたわけじゃない。でも何かに悩んでるのは間違いなく、それはかなり深刻らしいんだ。リカちゃんが俺たちを信頼してくれるなら、その時はどんな突拍子もない話であってもきっと信じてあげて力になってあげよう。きっとだぜ。
We all looked at each other and nodded. New tips unlocked. Faded Notebook 2 and 3. More notes from this Hifumi fellow, I assume? The Son of God promised that he would be resurrected within 3 days. Sinful men guarded his grave to make sure he would not wake up, but that was foolish of them. He meant that his spirit and his lessons would be resurrected, not his physical shell. Do not be afraid of physical death. If you achieve great things, you will live again. You will surpass death and become immortal. A demon took the Son of God to a cliff and told him to jump off. He claimed that if he was really a son of God, a miracle would help him survive. He tried to challenge the Lord. The Lord challenges humans, but humans may not challenge the Lord. To challenge is to suspect. Suspicion will speak words of evil into your ears and will make you falter. Do not doubt your own achievements. Do not doubt your own life. Do not doubt your contributions. Do not let others criticize your achievements. That's the same as doubting your own life. Ifumi, T. That's it? Huh. I thought there'd be another note or something that we'd go over. These faded notebooks are interesting and all, but I can't help but wonder, how do they relate to what's going on here? Every single tip I've seen so far from the very beginning of this story till now has been pertinent and related to the main story in some way, shape, or form. More often than not, important tips, so to speak, that tells me that can give context to what's going on either in the present time or for a later event. But I'm not exactly gleaming anything from these right now. Well, I know I've said this earlier, but holy shit. I've been proven right about pretty much the vast majority of everything I've theorized. And now that I've confirmed all this beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's still a pretty scary prospect, especially for Rika. I still think she needs to talk to her friends about this, and then work together with them to try to find some way to combat this. They were able to get rid of Tepe. She just needs to believe that they can do it again for this too, and just keep at it. Don't give up. Problem is, though, besides getting every single authority figure involved and on board with trying to protect Rika-chen from whatever this is, even if they manage to convince Oryu, Huishi, or anybody within the higher ups of the village in Okinomiya that something nefarious is going on, we're dealing with a paramilitary group that's got backings from Tokyo. They are obviously very well prepared for what they're about to do in the village. This is dealing with an obstructive bureaucratic office like what we were dealing with when trying to deal with Satoko is going to be nothing compared to what we're dealing with now. It's not going to be easy. I just can't help but wonder, even if everybody's on board, what the hell exactly are they going to be able to do? Anyway, I could sit here speculating about this all night, but it'd probably be better for me to just save this for the next episode, and, well, I'm sure the answers to my questions here will become apparent soon enough. So for now, I should just focus on everything else here that I can solve. Although, to tell you the truth, besides figuring out the motives of some people, like Takano, for example, like I mentioned earlier, I don't really think there's a whole lot left to solve here at this point. So, besides a few lingering questions I have, I guess all I can really do is just go along for the ride and see where it takes us. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut things off here now. I hope you enjoyed this latest episode of Higurashi When Cry Kai Chapter 7. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you all next time for whatever the hell is going to be waiting for us next. Take care.